Ever find yourself kind of just staring at like a cereal box in the grocery aisle? Just admiring those crisp images and the colors just popping.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a Prepress operator to thank for that. And today, we are taking a deep dive into their world, that fascinating space where design meets, like actual physical print.
It's a role I think many people don't even realize exists,
Right.
yet we interact with their work every single day. I mean, they're the unseen guardians of quality in print,
Yeah.
making sure every single detail is just picture perfect before it even hits the press.
We've got a treasure trove of info here from RoleCatcher to kind of guide us through. We're talking career insights, the good, the bad, and even how to land a job in the field.
Okay.
So let's just jump right into it. What does a prepress operator actually do all day? It's got to be more than just clicking print, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way more. Think of them as like these meticulous detectives of detail. They take that designer's digital vision and they prepare it, like translate it for the printing process.
Right.
And a huge part of it is color accuracy, which sounds deceptively simple,
Right.
but making sure that what you see on the screen translates accurately to paper, not always as straightforward as you think.
I bet. Especially with all the different types of paper and printing techniques out there. I'm
Exactly.
picturing them like the ultimate color matchmakers, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this paper, got to make it work.
Yeah.
What else is kind of on their plate?
Well, they're also creating what are called pre-press proofs. So think essentially mock-ups
Okay,
that let everyone sign off on that final look before it goes to print.
makes sense.
Catching errors at this stage, critical. Imagine a typo slipping through on like a massive billboard campaign.
Oh my God.
A pre-press operator, their keen eye, that's what prevents those costly mishaps.
Talk about high stakes. It's like they're the last line of defense before things go to print.
Essentially, yeah.
That must be where those like problem-solving skills that we hear so much about come in handy, right?
Absolutely. This RoleCatcher guide, they really emphasize that. And here's where I think it gets even more interesting technology.
Okay.
It is transforming the pre-press landscape. I mean, it's no longer just about these like traditional printing presses. Digital printing has totally revolutionized the game.
Speaking of challenges, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
New tech usually means a whole new learning curve. What are some of the biggest ways that you're seeing digital printing impacting the like day-to-day of prepress operators?
I'd say it's a double-edged sword, to be honest. On one hand, they have to stay updated on the absolute latest software, the latest digital printing techniques. It's continuous learning. But on the other hand, it opens up all these exciting avenues for specialization.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, somebody could become like a guru in color management for all these different digital printing methods.
So they have to be both tech savvy and artistic, which is a pretty unique combination when you think about it.
For sure.
This RoleCatcher guide actually outlines some like typical career stages, right? So you start as an entry level, then you move up to junior, and then even senior prepress operator.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a clear path for growth in this field.
There really is. You might start by assisting, more experienced operators, really mastering the software, the ins and outs of that printing process. But as you gain experience, you take on more responsibility, maybe even leading a team of your own one day.
So I'm noticing a theme here.
Yeah.
Problem solving, attention to detail, a willingness to adapt to new technology. Are those the magic ingredients for success as a prepress operator?
I'd say those are very high on the list. And here's something else that might surprise you. According to this research, the average prepress operator actually has a high school diploma.
Really?
While, further education is definitely valuable, experience and on-the-job training, very, very highly prized in this industry.
That's good to know. It shows that passion and a willingness to learn can take you really far, even without, a fancy degree. So we've talked about what they do, the skills involved, but let's dive into the, nitty-gritty of the job itself, right?
Yeah.
The pros and cons. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a prepress operator?
I think for a lot of people, it's that feeling of taking something from, a digital file.
Right.
And transforming it into something tangible,
Yeah.
That brochure, that magazine, that packaging you see on a shelf.
Yeah.
They had a hand in actually making that real.
It's like they're bridging that gap between the virtual and the physical in a way.
Yeah.
Which feels even more special these days, I feel like, with everything going digital first.
I agree. And, let's not forget that problem-solving aspect that we touched on. every day brings like unique challenges, right? From like color matching across totally different materials to like troubleshooting those weird technical glitches that always pop up.
Yeah.
It's really rewarding to use those skills to find solutions and make sure that final product is like flawless.
It sounds like it takes a really unique blend of like that creativity, the technical know-how, and even a little bit of that like detective work, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But, got to keep it real. No job is perfect.
Yeah.
What are some of the like downsides that Prepress operators might face?
I'd say tight deadlines for sure, and just that fast-paced environment that kind of comes with the territory.
So you got to be able to work under pressure.
Oh, yeah. You're juggling multiple projects, making quick decisions under pressure.
Oh.
That's like every day.
Okay, so not for the faint of heart, I'm hearing.
No.
Anything else that people might find challenging?
Well, it depends on the printing environment, of course. But I will say exposure to like loud noises, potentially some chemicals.
That makes
those
sense.
A factor, All those safety measures are like totally standard in the industry these days.
Right. Always important to be aware of that, have the full picture.
Yeah.
But hey, for those who are like energized by a challenge, fascinated by the printing process.
For sure.
It sounds incredibly rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. And, that brings us to another really interesting point, I think, which is how this, like, rapidly evolving technology that we've been talking about is, shaping the future of the field.
Okay, let's talk future. We touched on digital printing a bit, but what other innovations are, like, on the horizon for Prepress?
Well, 3D printing is a big one.
Oh, wow.
Like, imagine printing packaging prototypes in-house.
Okay.
Or creating, like, custom-shaped marketing materials.
Oh, wow.
It's being used in some limited ways now.
Okay.
But the potential, huge.
That's, like, next-level stuff.
Yeah.
Are there any innovations that you're seeing that are more focused on, like, the sustainability side of things?
Yeah, definitely.
Which feels really important these days.
Yeah, for sure. There's a big push towards eco-friendly inks, so like soy or algae-based materials.
Interesting.
And also just printing on like recycled and sustainably sourced paper.
Right.
So Prepress operators, they're on the front lines of actually putting those practices into place.
I love to hear that. It really sounds like there are, like, genuinely exciting opportunities on the horizon for folks in the like Prepress world.
For sure.
Now, I know some of our listeners are probably thinking, okay, this sounds like my kind of gig.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's like genuinely interested in pursuing this as a career path?
I'd say first and foremost, immerse yourself in the world of print. Like familiarize yourself with different printing techniques, the types of paper, and definitely the industry software, so things like Adobe Creative Suite.
Okay, so get those creative juices flowing.
Yes.
What about actually landing that dream job? This RoleCatcher guide mentioned some like common interview questions.
Yeah.
Any advice on how to really like stand out in those situations?
Definitely. One thing I've noticed is that interviewers in this field, they often ask about really specific situations,
Okay.
where you demonstrated like your problem-solving skills.
Okay.
They want to know, tell me about a time you faced a pre-press challenge and like, how'd you tackle it?
Okay.
So have a really compelling story ready to share, one that highlights your thought process, the actions you took, and ultimately how you saved the day.
So it's like that classic advice of show, don't tell.
Exactly.
But you're taking it to that next level. So instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'm detail-oriented, you're sharing a story about like catching a tiny error that saved a client thousands of dollars or something like that.
Exactly. Preparation is key here. Like really think back on your experiences and identify like a few really solid examples where you like truly demonstrated those must-have skills.
Right.
Problem solving, attention to detail, adaptability. Those are like the big ones.
That is such practical advice. Having those story like ready to go, I can only imagine that makes all the difference when you're sitting in that interview chair.
Oh, for sure.
It's like having a superpower, right?
Yeah.
The ability to not just say I'm a problem solver, but actually prove it.
Right, exactly. Like you're not just, familiar with all the like technical stuff, but you understand like the real world challenges and how you actually step up.
We have covered so much ground in this deep dive. Everything from like the day-to-day of a Prepress operator to the crazy innovations that are like shaping the future of the field. But as we start to wrap things up here, I'm curious, what's your like biggest takeaway for any of our listeners who might be thinking about this career path?
I'd say if you're someone who just loves that intersection of creativity and technology,
Yeah.
if you get a real kick out of like turning digital ideas into something real.
Right.
If you thrive on, like, solving puzzles and just nailing that impeccable quality,
Yeah.
this could be the perfect field, honestly.
It's not just a job, it's a craft. And especially with how fast technology is evolving, there's always something new to learn.
Always. And you know what? The future of print. It's bright. Prepress operators are going to be right there on the front lines, pushing those boundaries, shaping how we even experience print.
That is an awesome thought. You know, it's a great reminder that even with how digital everything is, there's something magical about making something real.
100%.
Something you can hold in your hands.
Yeah, and, keep your eyes peeled for the work of these, like, unsung heroes of print. They're everywhere. You just don't always see them.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of the Prepress operator. We hope you learned a ton. And hey, maybe we even inspired you to explore a new career path. Until next time, keep those presses rolling.